Welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Providence Holy Cross Medical Center and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Thomas Pilecki.
on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of seniors, we have Suzanne Nelson, who is the Director of Supportive Services for the Santa Cruz Valley Senior Center. It's good to see you again. I just saw
Barbara.
you not too
Yesterday.
long ago. How are you doing?
Very good.
Good. And what are we talking about today?
This and that. But first, a couple of announcements of special events that are coming up this month. The trips and the Silvertones are giving their Friday day concert at 2 p.m. this Friday. And Trips and Tours has a whale watching trip going to Balboa Island, and that's on 7/26. And there's a tribute concert to Fleetwood Mac on 7/27 at 6 p.m. And then always our bingo is on the July 30th. So if anybody is interested in that, they can call and register.
There's still tickets available for the whale watching?
As far as I know.
All right.
And what days are these? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? I don't have a calendar with me.
I don't either, but I think that the 26th might be on a Friday because the concerts are always on a Saturday, and the Fleetwood Mac concert is on the 27th.
Which is Saturday.
Yes.
And
The
then
twen-
the whale watching is
Friday the 26th.
Friday the 26th.
And isn't this perfect weather to go whale watching?
Oh, I know. Oh, I've done it before. It is so exciting. It really is. Watching those monsters come up out of that water, it's incredible. Especially when you see the great big one. Is that the orca? No, those are the small ones, aren't they?
So the big one is the
The great-
blue that doesn't belong here but has been showing up lately.
Yes, it has been. The
Yeah.
great big one.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the biggest animal on Earth. Crazy.
it's incredible to see because when it comes up so slowly, and then here's this great big black mound, staring at you. It isn't, but it really is because it's enormous. I saw that a couple of years ago when I went on one of the whale watchings.
It's on my bucket list.
Oh, it's so fun.
getting longer.
It really is. It really is. And then you've got you see the sharks, you see the fins, and then you see the dolphins. They jump up. It's fantastic. You do have to go.
Adding it to my retirement list of
Good,
things
good.
to do.
Good.
You're not retiring it just yet. So
Well, it's been 37 years at the senior center.
wow.
37
And
years.
prior to that, I've worked in the field of aging for a total of 50 years.
Wow. That's
and
a lot.
I've grown old,
Older, not
Older doing
old.
this.
Not old, older.
but never
don't
a
say
dull
old
moment.
here.
Never a dull moment when you're working with people because you never know what to expect or what the day will bring.
Yeah. So speaking of what the day will bring, what else is going on over at the senior center? I know you want to talk about some of the groups.
Yes, do you want me to start with that?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. Both Barbara and I could have been in the caregiver support group. We have two caregiver support groups. The first one is those family members or spouses that are caring for their loved ones who may be ill or more likely have dementia. And it's a very supportive group, like all the groups, support one another. It's an opportunity, for them to be in a very supportive environment and talk about their challenges and successes. And that group meets, and there are also resources. One of the main things is to learn what resources are out there for you. And sometimes the resources may be another caregiver who gives you a tip that works for you.
Right.
One of my favorite stories is a couple, and the wife just could not get her husband into the shower. He just didn't want to take a bath anymore. And when they were younger, they loved to dance. So her tip was she turned on the radio and waltzed him into the shower, and after that, she never had a problem with bathing him.
Nice.
I love that story. But the support groups are very important
Yes.
to know you're not alone in dealing with these challenges. But the other support group that we don't talk about as often is that support group, which is grandparents who become parents. In your older years are often impacted by unforeseen situations. You know, after 50 years of working in this field with older people, my motto is just expect the unexpected because it's going to happen
Yeah. You
That's
mean
right.
having to raise their grandchildren as their children?
as their children.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant.
And caregivers, all of us have the potential of being a caregiver one day or another.
Sure.
Don't plan on it, but it happens. But one of the most momentous scenarios is suddenly becoming a parent to your grandchild. And it often happens when someone's son or daughter is absent due to illnesses, due to mental or physical illnesses, substance abuse, abandonment, incarceration, or they've passed away. So, in the case of their passing away, you're not only dealing with now raising your grandchildren, but you're grieving your own child.
Sure.
These are tough things to deal with. The Senior Center does have a grandparents as parents support group that's dedicated to the support of grandparents who are raising their grandchildren. This group offers a safe and supportive environment for grandparents to share their experiences, challenges, successes. And through the regular meetings, the participants receive emotional support, practical advice, and access to valuable resources to help them navigate this very unique dynamic of raising your grandchildren again.
Yeah,
That wasn't-
that's one of the things. There's so much to love about the senior center, but what I do love is you don't know what you don't know, and when you're out in the public and you're having to deal with a situation that you think, oh my God, I'm just so overwhelmed with everything. You don't know that there could be some easy answers that are available, and sometimes they're even free, like a lot of stuff at the
Yeah.
senior center.
Oh,
If nothing else, the
Absolutely.
pointing you in the right direction to get the help that you need.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, human beings usually wait until they're in that crisis.
Yeah, well,
But hopefully, somebody who's not there yet will hear this information today and reach out if they need to.
and if someone needs that information right now, Barb, what's the number?
259-9444.
Yeah.
That's a number I will never, ever forget.
Why? Why will you never forget that, Barb?
Well, because my late husband Russ and I were very, very involved in getting the senior center started up here in what it was 84, I think, in the early 80s. And that's when Joanne Darcy was involved. She was Antonovich's special person. And we met with her, and Russ was a school principal, and he used to go into the classrooms of the different schools and talk with the children. And one of the things that was most prominent to him was that these children said, no, my grandma and my grandpa don't have any place to live. They're living with us, you know. And that's how this all got started, because he felt that, you know, that's not fair. The grandparents need places to stay where they can feel more independent and having to depend on their children and their grandchildren. And so that's how the senior center got started in
And
the
I
early
might add,
80s.
That was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And people lived, multi-generational families has increased greatly since then.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of the need of, or lack of affordable housing. Or,
Yeah, a lot more so in the past
Yes.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of a sensitive subject, but I do want to bring it up because we do have a little time here, and this is a platform where we can maybe make some positive change. Recent developments have substantially affected the ability of the senior center to function. So, what are you looking for from our listeners, from the people of Santa Clarita, to help take up the slack and make it a little bit easier to do your job there?
Well, we have a much greater need for people coming to our food pantry or any of the 7 or 8 food pantries we have in the community. But our food pantry is running pretty low these days, so we need non-perishables, such proteins such as tuna and peanut butter. We need
Canned goods,
canned goods.
canned vegetables,
Yes, yes, and some
And
we need
meat.
Boost
oh,
because there are people that have
supplements,
those.
sure.
They're very expensive, and most people can't afford them. We need, paper supplies, Kleenexes, laundry detergent, hand soap, you name it.
Right.
Something that will be able to stay on the shelves.
Can I ask, is there a prepared list from your pantry of the most commonly asked for items?
Yes, there is.
And where can people find that list?
Well, I don't know that it's posted online, but maybe it should be.
it should be.
But
Absolutely should
they
be.
can call the senior center and ask for supportive services, and we'd be happy to send them that list.
Yeah,
And
I'm sorry to
that's-
put
and
you on the
that's-
spot like that because this is a fairly recent development, but we need to know what we can do to help.
That is very helpful. Gift card donations for people that don't have enough money to buy their medication. Yeah. It's very helpful.
Sure.
We're almost out of gift cards at this time. These past years since COVID, we have not been getting as many donations as we did prior to that.
Right. Not only is there less funding, less expendable income to donate, but there's more need than ever. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of, yeah.
We have seen these last couple of years as many as 20 to 30 new seniors come into the senior center each week to register and become a part of it. Now, whether that was, part of it is the baby boomers. They're here, they're
Yeah.
retired. I think a lot of people retired during COVID. They just thought, why go on another few years? It's time to retire.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable. Sometimes we joke about
Including
somebody must
teenagers.
be out there. Yes.
Teenagers retired in COVID.
Well,
I
and
think somebody's out there passing out flyers door to door because the word is out.
That's
Yeah.
right. Plus the food over there, the senior center meals are absolutely outstanding. They really are, and it is a you get well nourished when you go over there and eat lunches.
Yes,
The food is delicious.
enjoy it,
It
yeah.
really is. You've got some great cooks over there. You really have. And there are so many ladies over there volunteering and coming in and taking your order and bringing you food. And if you ever want to do any kind of volunteering, I strongly urge you to go to the senior center. And I can give you the number, 661-259-9444.
we could not survive without our many, many volunteers.
No.
And that is certainly true in our supportive services department as well. We're fortunate to have interns that are working on their master's degrees, and they do help us out in many ways, but we need volunteers as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And tell us a little bit more about some of the programs that you offer.
Well, we have our care management program, which is wonderful in linking people to the necessities that they need. It could be the home delivered meals, as well as the care managers get into the home. They're able to assess what the situation is, and oftentimes these people need housekeeping, laundry assistance, sometimes personal care. There are issues that we might see with rugs, or one of our clients only had one light bulb that was working in her home. And our care manager went out that day. We had a gift card. This is where gift cards come in, and bought her a lamp at Walmart. And you would have thought we had given her $1 million.
Yeah.
She was
Yes.
so happy. Little things like that
Yes.
make a difference.
Oh, they really do. They really do. And we have a lot of seniors out here who are in need of things like that.
Yes, that's a little thing, but
Yes.
sometimes we have one care management program that we can assist somebody up to $800 one time, and with it could be we help people with refrigerators, stoves, microwaves. They might be behind in their utility bills. We're able to assist.
So let me ask you this. If someone's doing a kitchen remodel and they have perfectly functioning appliances, but they just want new stuff, does the center accept those kind of donations, or is that they just can't be bothered with that kind of?
We have this lovely new building, and about a year after we moved in, I think we're out of space. But if it happens to be, we know somebody who needs that at that time, yes, we could make that arrangement for that person or someone to pick it up and get it delivered to that person.
Yeah, because otherwise, you're dealing with having to literally pay someone to come take that from you. You just can't throw it out on the curb.
No.
Although some people try.
Well, and some people do it too.
Yeah.
See all
Okay.
kinds of.
So good to know that is a possibility. Just call the center, because if it's working, that could make a huge difference in someone else's life.
Well, we'll put the word out to the care managers in here, as well as in the Antelope Valley. We have care managers, and we have thousands of people that we assist.
Yeah.
So somebody is bound to need it.
Oh,
We've heard
absolutely.
that there's a need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to call.
Yeah. Good to know.
Again, that
So
telephone number is 661-259-9444. And that's a very important telephone number.
Thank you, Barbara.
okay, so final thoughts. What can we do to help support the senior center in its time of need, because it's there for everybody else?
We need donations, On an individual, smaller scale, we need the gift cards, but overall, we need donations to help us continue the essential things that we do.
Right. And just for, the business-minded people who may have estates and all of that, is that a tax-deductible donation?
Absolutely, it is tax deductible.
So it's a tax-deductible donation to an amazing resource in our community that needs help right now.
That's right. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for all the work you do over there. And you absolutely deserve retirement, but I hope you don't go too soon.
I'm not quite ready yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Pilecki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And our guest now is one of our sponsors from Comfort Keepers in Home Care, the one and only Myles McNamara. Oh, yeah, you're here.
Hello, sports fans. How are you?
Doing good. What's up?
It's good to be back. I've missed the last couple months with
I know you
conflicts with my
have.
schedule and
Good
stuff.
to have you here, and thank you again for being our die-hard sponsor of the Senior Hour.
Always and forever. I was one of the first three amigos to host this thing.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Decades ago. Jeez.
That's,
Yeah,
good
it
heavens.
really is
Let's don't go
decades
there.
ago.
I started when I was 7, right?
Right. We all were.
Oh, my goodness, a long time ago. Oh,
But yeah, I was listening to Suzanne on the way in, and and the caregiver support group and all those things, because obviously with home care company, that's what we're into as well. So I was really saddened to hear of the budget cuts for them over there. So yeah, I'll just echo what I heard coming in. If you whatever you're able to do to help a senior out with donations or anything, that's important, because we help so many seniors through that venue over there.
Oh, absolutely.
Such a tremendous resource, and you've got to think about how does that happen? How does that kind of having the rug pulled out from them?
Well, I'm not going to get political, Thomas.
No.
So don't wind me up, because I could go down a rabbit hole you've never seen before.
That's not where I was going with that. It's just that they really a big chunk of their funding got taken away from them, and now it's do or die time to support the senior center.
It's hard not to get political about it when it was a politician somewhere that made that decision to cut the funds to our seniors, and so call your representative, call your state representative, do whatever lobby you're able to.
It's
federal as well. We've got so
it was the federal funding that
don't
got
they
cut.
have parents who are seniors? I mean, where's their thinking? Where are their minds?
Like I said, that's a rabbit hole. You have to send a rescue team
Let's
down
focus
to get me.
on
Let's
comfort
focus on home care.
keepers, home care,
Yes,
and
home care.
what's going on with comfort keepers. What's important to you, Myles, right now?
Well, again, a quick overview for folks who haven't heard us before. Our Comfort Keepers in home care, we're not nurses, but we go in and we help our seniors stay safely and independently in their own home. Our caregivers go in and help them with bathing and showering and meal prep and medication monitoring, taking them into the doctors. Basically, we're the unofficial adult child, because our adult kids are sandwiched between their own lives and caring for their loved ones, elderly loved ones. So we can come in at for very short periods of time or elongated periods of time and help with our seniors and give the family peace of mind. What's kind of cool is Comfort Keepers is a franchise, even though we're independently owned and operated. I have the Encino office and of course the Santa Clarita office, but we've got over 700 offices internationally, domestically and internationally. And every year, end of last month, we do an annual celebration called the National Day of Joy. Where we reach out to folks and clients and caregivers and such, because it almost sounds a little self-serving, but you have to acknowledge it sometimes. But it's the joy that we bring to our seniors and their families, but to be able to stay in their own homes, remain independent. Most seniors want to stay in their home rather than going to a facility or assisted living or what have you, because that's where all their memories are. They grew up there, their kids grew up there, their grandkids. So just the joy that we can bring as an organization to allow seniors to remain independent, to stay in their own home, when a lot of times all they need is a helping hand to do that. Sometimes it might be mild cognitive impairment, maybe a physical limitation that prevents them from doing things on their own. So a lot of times it's just that helping hand that prevents falls, prevents, taking medications off schedule, dehydration during the summer, not eating nutritious meals. So it's kind of a gambit of things that we can do to keep our seniors independent and in their own homes. So that's sort of what we're all about. I heard Suzanne talking about the caregiver support groups and stuff. A lot of times we can just be that ear to families, if they have. There's a way to communicate with folks with cognitive impairment, with dementia, and we've got training videos on that. Videos. Boy, am I dating myself. We have digital viewing available, because
still video.
I heard you come in because I do listen to the show. We don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And so folks that have never communicated with someone with dementia or mild cognitive impairment, you can't be. It's not a teaching moment. It's a compassionate moment, So if your mom or dad has asked you the same questions, because it depends on what we call the loop is. Sometimes depending on the level of cognitive impairment, they may be on a 10-minute loop. So they may ask you the same thing 10 minutes later. It may be an hour loop. It may be, so we have to, first of all, what's that? So don't get angry or frustrated. I know it's
Yeah.
easier said than done sometimes, but don't say, Mom, you asked me that already.
Right.
Yeah, I
or-
know. I've been hearing that quite a bit lately.
Uh-oh, you're on the receiving end, are you? But yeah, so
Yeah,
it's,
because I do forget things.
yeah.
I mean, I'm almost 88 years old. Young.
Yeah, and we all do. I mean, so it's not a
But
necessary red flag
everyone
if you
does.
forget where your keys are. I did that when I was 18. You
Right.
know, so maybe I've got that problem. I don't know. But again, you know, you don't have to be on service with us. If you have an issue that you want to just get some advice or counseling on, we've got the training materials, like we said. Come on over to Comfort Keepers. We're on Lyons Avenue. Watch the digital viewing. I'm going to call it video. I don't
Yeah, it's
care.
okay. It's a
CD,
video.
whatever.
Even if you're
Recording.
streaming it,
Yeah,
it's
streaming.
it's a video.
It's a video.
Yeah.
Because again, it's what we call aha moments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's sort of like you see something, you're like, oh, aha, I get it. You know, and again, you know, with toddlers and children, we use things as teachable moments. We correct them. We guide them. Well, it's not that way with someone with cognitive impairment. It's
Right.
not a teaching moment. Don't try to correct them. Don't
Right.
show frustration.
Right.
Be compassionate and understanding. Understand the disease. Do some research. You know, and don't say you just asked me that 5 minutes ago, Mom. Or,
Right.
you know, Dad, you know that's salt and not sugar. You know, whatever it is. You know,
Right.
it's and we train our comfort keepers the same way. It's this is exaggerating, of course, but if Grandma says the sky's green today, just tell her that's your favorite shade of green. Don't try to correct her. Grandma,
Right.
that's blue. You know that's
Yeah.
blue. Stop it.
Yeah.
You know. So again, there's a method. There's education that can be learned by all. We never. I've been doing this 23 years now. I never stop learning. You know. So again, you don't have to be on service. We have a skills lab as well where we train our comfort keepers hands on. We've got a hospital bed. We've got walking apparatuses. We've got a mechanical lift that To the point of Suzanne's earlier discussion of caregiver support group, you still have family members that are caring for loved ones. Well, they're just thrust into that position. Nobody's trained them how to
Right.
do a proper transfer.
Right.
Nobody's trained them, to be that family caregiver.
And then if you
so
get
come on
hurt
over
doing
and be
it
trained.
wrong,
Yeah, you don't want to hurt
what
yourself.
good are you?
Yeah,
You know?
So as I said, you don't have to be on service with this. Come on over. My care managers can, kind of walk you through some of the things that you may be tasked with your aging loved one, and just something as a simple, how do you get them from the chair to standing position without hurting your own back?
Right.
know?
And do I need an appointment to do that?
Yeah, it'd be nice if you called first.
Yeah.
Because my care managers might be out in the field or something.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
give us a call and make an appointment and, come on over. And, but it's the important factor of, I personally have a bad back. So I wouldn't want to wish that on anybody. So, protect your back. You got to protect the family caregiver. We've all heard that, the stories in the past that, caregivers, don't take care of themselves, and stats show that caregivers a lot of times become ill and pass on before the person they're caring for.
very true.
So caregivers have to take care of themselves. I've used the tired analogy 100 times. Why do you think when you're on an airplane and they say if your oxygen masks drop, place yours on yourself before assisting your children or others? Because if you pass out, and then
Who's
you're not
going
going to
to
be able to help
assist them?
anybody.
That's right.
So that's the same sort of, strategy with family caregivers is you have to take care of yourself. And even respite care, we do that as well, just short term where we come in for maybe 4 hours once a week. Or twice a week, so that family caregiver can go out and get their hair done or play a round of golf or do whatever they can to go out and relieve the stress and pressure that they're feeling being a family caregiver. A lot of times you feel isolated, you feel like you're on an island, you feel like you have no support, but there is support and resources out there. Primarily the senior center can give you a lot of guidance as well. So, it's just a matter of that's a long-winded way to say that that's where the genesis of the National Day of Joy comes from, because we try to feel that we do spread that joy, spread that independence for our seniors, and spread that relief for our family members.
It's interesting too because my granddaughter is living at my home now, and she helps out both of her grandmothers because we both live here, and we're both named Barbara, which is coincidental. But Bailey stays, she has a room at my house now, and she also has a room at her other grandmother's house when she wants to go over there, or when she needs to go over there. So we both have her, and she's available, even though she works.
And that's a perfect example. I bet you Bailey doesn't realize that she's now a family caregiver.
Well,
She has that title, and a lot of people
Yes.
don't even.
No.
If you step back for a minute, you go, "Oh wait, I'm going over to Mom's after work to make sure she took her pills and ate dinner. Then I'm taking Dad to the doc. I'm a family caregiver.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, I'm helping Dad out of his wheelchair, possibly into the car. I'm doing a transfer.
Yeah,
And
I have
my
to do that
daughter's the same
properly.
way. My daughter's out there now. She's a caregiver for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that's an
She
incredible.
lives in Palmdale, and my son also lives up there. But they both come down to help take care of me because I'm not exactly. I don't run around the block anymore.
You walk briskly.
Yes, I
Yeah,
try
that's
to.
a skill set that we're all at one point going to have to call upon.
Absolutely.
And it's a shame that in this country at this time that it's not recognized. In many countries, that would be a paid job,
Right.
but
Absolutely.
not here.
They've tried to assign a dollar value to it. If you put an hourly rate on family caregivers, it would literally be in the billions with a B.
Yeah.
Of unpaid wages that family caregivers are caring for aging loved ones.
Yep.
Yeah, and all the way to they may have a disabled child or something, so that's a family caregiver as well. A lot of many strategic ways to do that applies as well. So family caregiving is a huge industry, and we just try to add a little relief to that.
Yeah, that's great. And so at Comfort Keepers, you have a 4-hour minimum.
Correct.
And that is a nice little break in the day, to have some sanity, to have some personal time, because the overwhelming likelihood is it's not a grandchild that is able to do this. It's a child that has no other choice but to do this while managing their family, managing their job, managing everything else that has to go on. And just a 4-hour break can make all the
And when
difference
will
in the
that
world.
pendulum shift? I heard driving in Suzanne talking about the support group for grandparents who become parents for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Yeah.
And when will that pendulum shift as that child becomes an adolescent, a teenager, a young, now who needs the care?
Right.
The grandparents are getting older, and now
Right.
before you know it, that grandchild might become a family caregiver
That's right.
as their grandparents age in place and they grow in place. And so it's a really interesting dynamic, and just the family dynamics, and and folks live states away now. It's not where family members grew up in one community and multiple generations stayed in the same county or a small town.
Right.
People move away. They may be on the East Coast, Midwest, and their loved ones on the West Coast, and so there's a lot of technology, of course, involved now that there wasn't 20, 30 years ago, like where you can see them physically on a Zoom call. But that's still not the same as seeing your aging loved one in person as
person.
often
Right.
as you can.
That's right.
Phone
And
conversations
spending more
don't
than
cut
half
it.
an hour on the phone.
Yeah, and the phone conversation doesn't cut it, because we've mentioned in the past that folks are good at masking possible cognitive impairments. So you have that 10-minute conversation every Sunday, and they ask how the kids are, but they
Right.
don't call them by name.
Right.
They ask you about the weather. I had a good meal, but
Yep.
so again, the conversations become more and more superficial.
Yep.
And then you get off. Oh, Mom sounded great today.
Yep.
But she hung up to spoiled food in the refrigerator, a
Right.
stack of unpaid bills. Her personal hygiene might be slipping. So you really do need to see. Thanksgiving and Christmas, of course, is a lot of times when families come together, but that once a year may not be often enough.
Right.
And then what do you look for when you see them that one time a year? Really do an in-depth evaluation, if you will. If they're still driving, say, let's go to the store, Mom, you drive. I'm not feeling well today. But then pay attention to how they drive. Are there more dents on the car than you've seen in the past? You kind of go in the garage and there's some scratches and some dents, and you're like, those weren't here last time I was visiting.
Yeah, that's a very sensitive issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe not so much for women, depending on how independent they've lived their lives, but definitely for men. They do not want to give up their driving.
Oh, yeah. And there's the whole process that we advise people on that as well. I mean, just think about it. As we age in place, we don't recognize ourselves doing that as many times as other loved ones do. So imagine me now, Tom. You feel great, but if I walk, you know what, Tom? I don't think you should give me your keys.
Yeah.
We'll make sure you get where you'd lose your flipping mind.
Exactly.
I mean, are you kidding? That's the biggest element of independence our seniors have.
Especially in Southern California,
Yeah.
without any mass
Well,
transit
it's
to speak of.
interesting because I came to that conclusion myself.
And you're a rare egg, I got to say.
I'm sorry?
You're a rare egg. A lot of folks don't do that.
Well, I do take the car out and drive it around the block, but I don't go on the freeway or the highway.
Right.
My cognitive awareness is not where it used to be.
And everybody's different. My dad, God bless him, is going to be 87 in December. He still pulls his 27-foot trailer up and down from northern to California to Oregon. He's in.
I wouldn't attempt it.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't either.
He's in Susanville right now from our hometown in Middletown, which is an 8-hour. I mean, he's just bouncing around. He's got a little girlfriend up in Cedarville, and he's 87. I talked to him the other day, and he goes, "Yeah, I might start cooling off these long trips." I'm like, well, that's your choice, Paul, but you maybe think about that. But getting on the road for 8 hours, it's not like you're a young chicken anymore. But he's starting.
I
he's
wouldn't
now
do it
starting
now.
to acknowledge that.
Yeah. Well, I'm 87 also, and I will drive around the block,
Yeah.
in the housing tract, but I won't go further. It's just not worth
Well,
taking that
and
risk.
good for you for realizing that. But again, you also have a great family and a support group.
Oh, absolutely.
Some seniors don't have that. They're their own support group. So if they stopped driving, as Tom mentioned, in California, in Los Angeles especially, public transit is poor.
Well,
So,
the other thing too is, hopefully families will get long-term care insurance. I think that is so critical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it really helped when we got it because Russ needed it. Well, welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Pilecki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And our guest this afternoon for the second half is one of our sponsors from Comfort Keepers in Home Care, Myles McNamara. And we're talking about the silver rule and the golden rule?
Well,
something like that.
Well, before the break, we were talking about folks that, may not realize that their driving isn't as efficient as it used to be, in that difficult conversation of the keys and what have you.
Oh, yes.
And there's just a way to approach things that, understanding, as we said before break, that a lot of times that's the largest key to someone's independence. So the way you approach it, the different rules we were talking about off air is that, we've all been raised to appreciate the golden rule, treat others as you would want to be treated.
right.
Then came the platinum rule. The way you may be treated, Barbara, is not the way I want to be treated. So the platinum rule is treat others the way that they want to be treated. And again, the way to get there is to have these critical conversations before they're critical, not in the hallway of the hospital, God forbid. So you should be having an aging plan with your family. That's why we get estate plans and trusts and advanced health care directives, and where you have your aging in place mapped out. So now when, these things start to happen, you're not treating mom, dad, or grandpa the way you want to be treated. You're treating them the way that they want to be treated, which has been outlined in these conversations you've had before it's become hypercritical. And, some folks have their aging map all the way down to what song they want to be played at their funeral when that finally occurs. And then, as far as legally too, if there's, assets and inheritance, you want to avoid taxes, which is legal. Tax evasion is not. But again, there's a way to set up your journey to happen the way that you want it. And when it's time to take those keys away, have a conversation, and it's like, but have all, do it as a loving family, do it with, with alternates in choice, but, if, this is, we've thought about this, Dad, and this is how we'll get you to all your appointments, or this is how we'll get you to your, whatever, it's not about just coming in, you drive like a blind person, you give me those keys. If that's the way you do it, I hate to see what else you get through life. But it's the thing that that old saying: people don't plan to fail; they fail to plan. So when something I can't tell you how many times we've been at a home or in the hospital, and you have the adult kids fighting in the hallway. Well, Mom would have wanted this. No, she wouldn't have. She would have wanted this.
Yeah.
And there's this whole debate going. Well, those conversations should have already happened.
Right.
So they
That's
say,
right.
well, you know what? I don't know what to do, but let's look at page 7 of Mom's trust. Up here it is. This is what she wants to do in this situation. These are do they have a DNR? Do they have a, so again, there's so many critical choices that, when it comes time, instead of, shooting from the hip, is turn to the appropriate page of Mom, Dad's, Grandpa's, whoever's estate plan, trust, and advanced healthcare directive.
Yeah, and as soon as you start seeing signs of dementia, you need to really work fast on that.
And get a trusted health professional involved.
Yeah.
Is it time for the MRI and neurological exam? Is it time, for whatever it is? But again, if you've planned this journey and now you're in the twilight of that journey that you talked about long ago, again, you're just following your roadmap. You're following choices. You're not fighting with your brother and sister about what your parents would have wanted.
Right.
Again, I can't be redundant enough. You turn to the appropriate page in their map, their advanced healthcare directive, their trust and estate plan, and you follow the platinum rule. You're doing now what you've been asked to do. You're doing them a favor by treating them the way that they want to be treated.
Yeah, critically important. So, final thoughts. Myles McNamara, Comfort Keepers, our flagship sponsor.
Well, and we talked earlier about even if you're not on service, obviously if you are on service, folks know how to get a hold of us. But if you're interested in the Caregiver Skills Lab or watching some educational videos on dementia and Alzheimer's, we're at 661-287-4200, 287-4200. You can go to comfortkeepers.com. As I said, we're international as well as domestic, so just go and punch in the zip code of where you are. A Comfort Keepers will pop up.
Thank you so much again for sponsoring us. Along with Providence Holy Cross, you've been listening to the Senior Hour, KHTS FM 98.1, AM 1220, hometownstation.com.